Well, hey y'all, are this afternoon. This is your buddy George Jones over at the Bergen Gun Range. I decided, because of the interest in the Mini 14 rifle, I would do another video on the Mini 14 rifle, and this one would be a comparison between the two rifles, between Mini 14 and the AR15. Now, the Mini 14 today has gotten so popular that an original Mini 14 like this one is up around $2,000 to $2,500. And that seems like an awfully lot, but this rifle is in very high demand. Now, the Mini 14 rifle, and this is a GB, government barrel configuration. The Mini 14 rifle came about in the early 1970s. Come into design in the late 1960s, hit the market in the early 1970s, and at one time this was the rifle. If you wanted a 5.56 caliber rifle, this was the rifle that you went after. If you wanted a semi-automatic rifle with a 20 or 30 round magazine capacity, this was the gun that you went after, for the simple reason that this gun just wasn't available. Okay, this gun, the AR-15s just weren't that available as a gun. So there's a lot of comparison videos on YouTube comparing the AR-15 to the Mini 14. And we're going to shoot both of them here just a little bit in a minute. We're going to have some impact footage down range to go with it. We'll talk about it a little bit. The Mini 14, what is it? Well, it's not an M14 and it's not a 30 caliber carbine. It has an M1 rifle style, M14 style rotating bolt arrangement. It has a gas spigot system that's direct impingement up here that drives the op rod to the rear. More like a 30 caliber carbine than an M1 rifle or an M14. It has a gas block up here, and that's where your impingement starts. There's a little bushing in there. This particular one has a bayonet lug, front side assembly, and a birdcage flash suppressor on it. This rifle was never picked up by a military establishment other than the country of Kuwait, which had a national police force, a paramilitary police, but not a formal military at the time of their invasion. They bought about, 20,000 of them, just to tell you the truth. The French National Police Force has a version of this rifle. It's called the AMD, I believe, or AMD or AMDX. That's slightly different. It has sights up here as opposed to back in the back, and it has more conventional sporting gun style sights on it. And the wood is slightly different, and the wood has some factory checkering on it, and it's the only Mini 14 configuration that I know of that has factory checkering on it. The Mini 14 uses 5 round magazines, which are pretty available. The Mini 14 uses 20 round magazines and 30 round magazines. Now, these are factory Ruger magazines. I saw these things on Gunbroker the other night, and they wanted like $150 for them. I don't know if they're worth $150 or not, just to tell you the truth, but I have several of the factory magazines. Whereas you can still get an old Beater GI M16 style magazine for, I think last time I saw these things for sale, they were about $10. I've got several of them. Here's one for the H-bar, a newer magazine for the H-bar configuration. But it'll work in every kind of AR there is. The shooting of them and the ergonomics of the Mini 14 compared to the AR-15 are a lot different. Of course, it's more of a conventional stock on the Mini 14, whereas the AR-15 is grossly different. Okay? Now, this AR-15 is my old school AR. As a matter of fact, both of my ARs are all in the older school configuration, the SP101 configuration, or whatever you want to call it. Looks like an M16A1 from the 1960s. Okay, 3-prong flash suppressor, A-tower out on the front of it, triangular handguards, and so forth. Smooth grip. Brownells has sold thousands of them like this, and I'm like, I got kind of like an original one that I put together back in the 80s. They're a lot different ergonomically, but they're both pretty efficient. You know, they look different and they feel different, but when it comes right down to it, they both work just about the same in terms of launching that bullet and achieving that accuracy. Let's shoot them a little bit. We'll shoot them a little bit, we'll shoot them a little bit. Let's try the old Mini 14. I want to shoot the 5-round magazine, then I'll shoot a 20. And we'll see what we can do down range. Get my old hasty slinger going here. We got this sling marked where hasty sling works good for me. Little hasty slinger going here. There we go. And let's see where we can go. I want to do 125 yards steel plate up there. And that shoots pretty good. Let's rock a 20 in of, what do we got? Good old GI ball right there. All right, here we go. There's a pumpkin down there. I'm going to shoot it at. The kids were down here earlier and left a bunch of pumpkins on the backstop. I can see pieces flying off of it, but you can't get a pumpkin to blow up because it's got airspace inside of it. There we go. So it's a very efficient little rifle. It shoots really good. They work good. You know, it's no wonder to me that, you know, they have quite a following. The Mini 14 is in a lot of different configurations now. You can get them with various Picatinny rails and, you know, all kinds of stuff. They make a little short stubby one that's about this long. Okay, it's got a birdcage flash suppressor on it, but no bayonet lug. You get them in black stocks and composite stocks, and folding stocks and side folding stocks, and you can get the original pistol grip side folder that they used to make back in the day is now in production again. So overall, Mini 14 is a pretty cool gun. And worth a tremendous amount of money nowadays. I can't believe how much they actually want for a Mini 14 GB is almost unobtainable. I was looking on Gunbroker the other night. Just, of course, Gunbroker is kind of the sucker price for guns anyway. But you know, they had auctions on there for $2,000 starting price, or $2,500 starting price, or $3,500 buy it now. And I'm like, you know, that's a lot of money for just a rifle. All right, let's look at the old AR15. Now, this one is a guy that when Double Star first went into business, I bought one of their strip lowers. And you could still get all of these parts, you know, surplus. And they were dirt cheap before anybody ever come up with the idea of a retro AR. So, you know, you could buy this guy, this piece with the swivel on it like this, flat butt, no trap. You could find these pistol grips at an Army Navy store for, you know, they're 50 cents a piece. You know, they're like 30 bucks now. You know, these triangular handguards, these particular triangular handguards, I bought at a railroad salvage place. You know, bought me a pistol thin barrel, reconfigured it in the A-frame. I think this piece come from more military back when Vietnam reenacting was first starting to take off. They made some of these, you know, and you got these, got a Type 56 sling on it, M56 sling. You know, nobody wanted these, you know, at all. Every gunsmith shop that I knew of had this style upper, you know, laying in a parts bin or in a scrap bin, because nobody wanted this. Nowadays, this is very popular. They really want it. You know, it's like a $250 item from Brownells to get a new one. So anyway, like, yeah, well, let's shoot it a little bit and see how it shoots. This one doesn't have a brass deflector on it, and I shoot it left-handed. Let's shoot some green tip ammo out of it and see how it shoots. Which is this is a whole video on green tip ammo, what it is and what it ain't. And it ain't what you think. All right, let's give it a whirl down through here and see how we can shoot it. Hey, let's put that earmuff back on there. That's a little better right there now. Did you hear the bullet impacts? I'm going to tell you something. So, what's the difference between an AR-15 and a Mini-14? I'm going to tell you. The difference between an AR-15 and a Mini-14 is an AR-15 shoots a lot better. That's all there is to it. An AR-15 shoots a lot better. The Mini-14 was originally designed to be a police patrol rifle. And the guy that designed it knew that it would lay in the back of a police car in a southwestern department for years and never get used. And then one day the crisis would appear, and that rifle had to come out of that police patrol vehicle trunk and get pressed into service right then and there. And he knew that it would be dirty and that it would be grubby. The chambering is a lot looser on the Mini-14 than it is on an AR-15. Anybody that's ever tried to reload for a 223 and then go and put that ammunition in a Mini-14 and had a lot of stoppages knows that the chamber parameters are a lot different on a Mini-14 than they are on an AR-15. Subsequently, the Mini-14 overall is not nearly as accurate of a gun by design than an AR-15 is. It has a great following. People love the gun. They tinker with it a lot. They try and improve it. But the plain old stock gun at 125 yards is not as pinpoint accurate as an AR-15 is, or an AR-15 in this configuration. Now, I'm a pretty good shot, and I tried to hit that steel target pretty hard, okay, and didn't hit it as much as I did with the AR. The simple reason is the Mini-14s don't shoot as good as ARs, but they shoot good. I mean, you know, they shoot pretty good, but they don't shoot as good as an AR as a rule. I've killed a lot of wild hogs with a Mini-14. That used to be what we used in the brush country down in Florida all the time, on wild hogs and white-tailed deer and everything else, was the Mini-14, because it was so durable and rugged, you know, and foul-proof. And So the Mini 14 has some strong attributes. Pinpoint accuracy at range is not one of them. 50 yards? 50 yards in a firearms confrontation with a bad guy armed with another rifle? Yeah, this is a pretty good rifle to have. But out there at 125 and 150 yards against an AR-15, it's probably not that great of a rifle. Can you accuratize it? Yeah. Do they make more accurate ones today? Yes, they do. But the old stock Mini 14 from back in the day, it's not as good as an AR-15 in terms of accuracy. Reliability is probably a little bit better on the Mini 14 than it is on the AR. But tell you the truth, if you know you're going to get out there in range, you probably need an AR. Well, all right then. So that's a little primer on the Mini 14 compared to the AR-15 rifle. Like it, surefire, commentate, and subscribe. Leave me no dollar on the Patreon bucket if you want to, and if you don't, I'll keep right on making content for you. You know, I used to talk about people getting their shots and stuff like that all the time, and I'm down there to where, at this point, dealing with COVID, here's where I'm at. 60% of the people have got their shots, 25% of the people won't. The other half are going to get sick and get over it. I'm like, joke's over, people, let's move on. God bless everyone, and we'll see you when we see you. Bye now.